All right, I'm going to try to do the speed run version of explaining this new script and effect combo that I just put up on GitHub. So I've got 10 samples.
10, 9, 8, 7.
I want to throw them into a sampler. Well, guess what? Reaper has a sampler. It's called ReasamplOmatic, and it's actually pretty awesome. But it's even awesomer when you run this script. So run the script. It glues the sounds, so it retains the fades and volume changes that you made. It also puts them in their own little, glued folder that's specific to the sampler. So if I deleted these out of my project, they're still in there. If I have a sampler there, that's really cool. What you'll notice is that right above it, there is a JSFX, and it's called Palladium, and it's a random MIDI velocity generator. And this is heavily inspired by SoundMiner's Radium sampler. Palladium, Radium, right? Yeah. So when you run the script, some cool things happen. So it counts how many media items you actually put into the script. It automatically will update this parameter in the plugin that goes right before the sampler. So number of samples in sampler is 10. Number of sounds I have in the sampler here is 10. There's this round robin functionality here. So ReasamplOmatic is primarily made for drum replacement. And the downside with that is that its round robin is handled through velocity, right? So it will trigger a new sample based off of how light or hard I hit a key on my MIDI controller. And so what this plugin does is essentially takes the max velocity, divides it by the number of samples, and then creates these sample ranges, right? So it knows that, say, I'm just going to use a hypothetical number, 0 through 25 in velocity is going to trigger sample 1. So if I hit my key on my MIDI controller and it triggers sample 1 the first time, I don't want it to repeat the same sample again. And so this takes care of that for you. The additional functionality that you have here is also a send on note off. So when you enable this, it's exactly what it says it does. When you release your hands from the keys, it will then send it will then play back the sounds. So you could do some, creative things with that. So if you have like a bunch of whooshes in like one sampler, and then say a bunch of impacts or explosions or other things in another sampler, and that second sampler, you can enable this, and you can time those impacts to play at the apex of the whooshes. So let me give you a quick example with these countdown sounds. I'm going to hit one note on my keyboard. 8, 1, 3, 4, 6, 3, 10, 2, 4. So you can see or hear that it's not triggering the same sample twice in a row. I have, I think, 8 Playdiums with ReasamplOmatics. And so basically, I started out like with these sort of like metal latchy type sounds. I think some bike spokes, some RoboSource that I don't even remember when I made those, but I think there's some steampunk stuff from Soundmorph. I think some other stuff that I made, and these are some Recordist explosions, et cetera, so forth, right? So each one of these it's in its own sampler and with a Palladium. And again, look, when you run the script, it will automatically set the number of samples in the sampler to be whatever the number is of the sounds in the sampler. So makes it super easy for you. So you don't really have to touch anything. It's all about just running the script and like instantly being able to play, right? And so like, let's solo these. So it's randomizing between those bicycle spokes, these sounds, and then we play them all together. Here's the cool part is once you get all your sounds in a sampler and you sort of like, you got something cool that you're playing back, all these channels automatically arm. You could just create a composite track at the top and just record the stereo output. And then when I record, I get all my individual layers on separate tracks. So if I needed to, come back and, pull something out, I can do that, right? It makes it really, really flexible. And then you've got the composite up here that you can, pull individual sounds out of, and chop these up like pretty quickly. Another really cool thing that you can do is if you have MVK create, you can actually have it create, multiple layers, and then you could take each one of those layers and make a Palladium and ReasamplOmatic, and then you can play back everything, all the different, sounds that it found for you on separate tracks and get even more random variation. So sky's kind of the limit. So I hope you guys have fun with this. I hope that it unlocks a lot of possibilities for you, and I'll be curious to see what you guys come up with. So thanks.